Oh, hi guys. How are you? I'm doing fantastic. I finally put up my Christmas tree. Well, let me rectify that. Hubby finally put the Christmas tree because that's not my thing. I don't have the patience to do all of that. Like, I love putting out decorations like outside, those things that don't take so much details. I'm here for that. All right. So, how are you guys? Are you guys ready for Christmas? I mean, it's the end of November. It's November 30th as I'm filming this, which means December is upon us and we have to hurry and go and run around and get those gifts, which I have not done. Every year, I do the same thing. I tell myself that I'm gonna be so proactive. I'm gonna buy all these gifts when they're on sale. I mean, throughout the year, keep them somewhere so that when it's that time, I already know this is for this is for that person. But then again, people change. People's needs, people's wants change. So even though you think this gift would be good for that person, but maybe they might want something else. So it's tricky. I would like to talk to you guys about 4 books. And those books all tackle almost the same subject. It is about love, it's about relationship, it's about couples, it's about conflict resolution, and I want to talk to you about it. Plus, you guys, I read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Ooh, I can't wait to dish out all that stuff. The way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna actually talk about my least favorite and then finish with my non-fiction book that still talks about, love and relationships. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book that I read was The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. It says here, New York Times bestselling author of The Wife Between Us. Should have started reading that book to get a feel of who these authors were, because reading The Golden Couple, I enjoyed it very much. But let me tell you a little bit about what this book is about. So in this book, we encounter Marissa and Matthew. The story between Matthew and Marissa is like any other couple. They have hit a roadblock, right? So what happens? We discovered that Marissa was unfaithful. And because she still has feelings for Matthew, they decide that they want to go and see a therapist, a counselor, a marriage counselor, to try and fix their relationship. That sounds like a good beginning to a story, no problem. But the only thing is that the counselor or the therapist, Avery, is very peculiar. She has a different way of doing her job per se. Like, she goes above and beyond to go and help this particular couple. So what happens is that we try to uncover the reasons why Marissa was faithful to Matthew, because when you look at their story, it feels like Matthew has a great job. He is a lawyer, and Marissa has this shop where she sells all these things. So it looks like they have it together. They have it put together. Apparently, Marissa feels like her marriage, she's not getting the attention that she wants. She's feeling neglected, and she's feeling disconnected to Matthew. So she goes and sees Avery, and Avery tells her that, she has to come out and tell the truth to Matthew. No problem. They go see Avery at her house. So one thing about Avery is that she was fired from her job because she has unorthodox ways of doing her counseling, as I said. So she goes above and beyond. Like, she will go and question people in the lives of Marissa and Matthew. She will follow people. She will dig in their past. She will try and see how they are in their everyday lives. Like, that's Avery, the counselor. That's how she functions. And obviously that goes against protocols, or you can't do that. Well, anyway, so Marissa comes out to her husband, Matthew, and tells him the truth. And obviously Matthew is enraged. He's absolutely enraged. I mean, can you believe the wife that you thought you gave everything to and you thought you guys had a great relationship decides to cheat on you? So no problems. They start to go through the process of talking about their relationships, trying to uncover where they went wrong, what happened, where did they miss signs. And at the same time that you're uncovering this thing, what I found out was that there was a lot of characters in the book that sort of I didn't think were important. You know, there's this other girl, Polly. Polly's this girl. She's Marissa's assistant at the shop, and she's there throughout the story. She does play an important role in the story. You kind of discover that at some point at the end. And then there's also like a homeless man. At some point we do talk about the father of Matthew. He's in the picture. I find that the way the story was written, I could have done without certain characters, you know, and the story would have landed correctly. That's just my opinion. But anyways, so let's go back to Marissa and Matthew. They start going through the process of healing and fixing their relationship. And at the same time, as I said, you discover certain aspects of their relationship, and they're not so much the golden couple. And there's a twist. So now she at first told Matthew that she just slept with a random guy at the gym. But you come to discover that it was not a random guy. It was it was someone that was quite important in both their lives. So yeah, and I don't want to spoil the story for you guys if you want to pick up the book, but what I'm gonna say is that the end, for me, I didn't like the end at all, because I find that the way these two authors twisted the story, I didn't like the end, you guys. So anyways, like I said, I read the book. I could have DNF'd it because I was not really into it. So that's The Golden Couple. It's sort of a thriller, I guess, suspense type of book. I'm not sure if it succeeded in the whole thriller because it wasn't thrilling for me. I just wanted to finish it and kind of... That's The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekanen. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Next, you guys, I want to talk about Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Now, let me just speak to you about some trigger things here, because this book does, I think a lot of people know, especially when it comes to Long Shot, it does deal with domestic violence and rape and demeaning of women, and it's absolutely terrible. But let me talk to you a little bit about this book. Beyond that, the way Kennedy wrote this book, the characters, the relationship that bloomed between Iris and August. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. But so obviously this is a sports romance. This is my first sports romance. I don't really gravitate towards those type of books, but you know, it's Kennedy Ryan. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna read it. Now, as I said, we're talking about August and Iris. The story is that Iris meets August at a bar on a random night. She's in the bar, she's playing basketball. August just kind of finished. He has a big game that he has to prepare for the next day. But before then, he decides to just stop at a bar and, you know, trying to unwind. And he sees this beautiful girl. Now, I think these two are biracial. They're biracial, these two characters. August, his dad is white, black, and his mom is white. And Iris, her mom, I believe her dad is Irish. She does have Irish blood. Things like that. They're both light skinned. They got those nice curly hair, hazel eyes, or you know. But anyway, so she's at the bar, she's watching basketball, and obviously August approaches her. They have a great conversation. They seem to click, you know, everything is beautiful and all that stuff, and they're having a connection, you know, one of those rare connections that happens between two human beings. So obviously August is smitten by her, and I do believe the feeling is reciprocated. But she does tell him that, you know what, I have a boyfriend, so it cannot go beyond that. No problem. August is disappointed, you know. He goes, he still can't shake her off his mind, you know, but he has to let the girl go because, you know, he's not that type of guy that will go after someone else's woman. No problem. So come to discover throughout the story that the guy she's going out with is his longtime rival, Caleb. Caleb has the bluest eyes. I believe he's white, because and he has the bluest eyes. And at first, they seem to have an okay relationship with Iris. He pursued her relentlessly at the library. He'd bring her coffee, and the relationship flourished. And although she had her reservation, because she wanted to do something with her life, she didn't want to settle down right away. But Caleb wanted her to become his wife, have his kids, focus on being a baller's wife, almost forgetting her dreams. And she wasn't about all of that. In the story, something happened. You discover that she falls pregnant. But how? Because they were using protection. So anyways, she has her baby, this beautiful little girl with Caleb. And obviously her dreams have to be pushed away because she has to raise these kids and she hasn't had time to work. So she's very dependent on Caleb. And then all that bull crap starts. Guys, I'm telling you, the way Kennedy Ryan wrote some of these scenes, I was so shaken. I had to close the book. I was like, some parts I was like, no, absolutely no. The brutality in which certain scenes are described, I was like, if people really went through this, I don't know. There's one scene where Caleb has a game in China. So he travels to China, and at that time, Iris is already under his, she's in prison in his house. There's a bodyguard who's supposed to keep eye on her and her daughter 24/7, so she can't go anywhere. So she has been isolated from her family members, from all those people who love her. So she knows that she cannot call for help. And at some point, she does see August again, and something happens between Caleb and August. They were playing a game, and he did a dirty play on August. So August is in a wheelchair, trying to rehabilitate, his leg was broken, all that good stuff. So he goes back, I think, to Baltimore. That's his hometown. And that's where, he meets Iris, because they're both going to a charity event. So she has a moment with August again, because every time they see each other, they have that pull that keeps pulling them towards each other, and they cannot seem to resist it. And so at some point, there's a scene, the first kiss, oh my God, happens somewhere in the gym. He gets her cornered somewhere in a closet, I guess, and then, love that scene. The way he goes down on her. Okay, I'm gonna stop there, but they share something beautiful, for a few seconds she was able to escape the hell that she's been living in with Caleb. And of course, Caleb finds out right there. He comes back unpromptu. He comes back earlier than he was expected and sees them together. You guys, oh my God, I cried. That scene, she knew she was in trouble. The way she goes back home, and the way Caleb literally kicked her, punched her, raped, the beating was so incessant. I was like, oh my gosh, Kennedy, please stop. Stop. It was absolutely horrifyingly terrible. My heart was just breaking for her, that you could punch someone like a punching bag. And at some point there was a use of gun down there. Absolutely no. So fast forward, you guys. At some point is that she does escape from Caleb and goes back to Louisiana to live with her great-grandmother. And there, oh, I love that scene. I was crying with her. Let me just tell you about that scene. She goes back there, and then her great-grandmother tells her at some point to sit down, because she was afraid, she was feeling ashamed. She was, what battered women can sometimes feel, it's their fault. They feel ashamed, powerless, and all that. And when she went back to her great-grandmother was into gree-gree and a little bit of that voodoo stuff. She did a whole ceremony at some point with Iris, and that scene was powerful. And this is what I highlighted: strength, dignity, courage. All these things belong to you. Take them back. Your soul is yours. Your heart is yours. Your body is yours. Yours to keep and yours to share. Oh my God, I love that. It literally did some kind of healing to Iris, and that was beautiful. So I don't want to spoil the whole story and tell you every fantastic part that was in the book, but let's just say that at some point she does finally get to August, and woo, yes. And when they get together, their love scenes, their love, their words, the way they give each other, the vulnerability and her acceptance, and the fact that she knows she's not a victim, she's a survivor. And in the midst of all of that, you guys, she never told August, but when she left for Louisiana, she didn't tell August. So August was still looking for her and wanting this relationship with her, but he had no idea what she was going through, but he knew there was something that was holding her back. But anyways, once all of that was finally out of the way, the love, the thing, okay, that flourished between August and Iris was so dreamy. And I knew that Kennedy Ryan had me. Like, she had me. Like, I was thinking, I was dreaming, and I was like, I was smiling, guys. So that's the story of August and Iris. That's not the end though. I'm just telling you that they did get together. By the end is even more epic. You think Caleb will leave and let Iris go just like that without a fight? Girl, you're mistaken. So I found out the end, and as I said, it was epic. So if you haven't read or picked up Long Shot, best do it real quick. Like, run to the store and get Long Shot, because I finished this and I'm about to get the second one, which is what, block shot or something. I'm ready. I'm probably gonna do a vlog for that. I have to. But yeah, Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Yes. Next, I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. So this is an interracial story between a black girl and a white guy, and also it is fake dating type of trope. And it was quick. I finished this book maybe in 2 days. It was a quick read. So it's the story between Drew and Alexa. So Alexa and Drew are these strangers, and at some point in the story, they meet in the elevator at a hotel. So Alexa is there because she's meeting her sister, and Drew is there because he's going to his ex's wedding. He's the groomsman. Go figure. So anyway, so they're in the elevator. Something goes with the elevator and they're stuck in the elevator. Anyways, so Drew and Alexa start a relationship. She had crackers and I guess champagne because she's celebrating something with her sister. So they're obviously there for some time. They get to talk and all that good stuff. No problem. And then the elevator works. It's time for them to separate. But before they separate, Drew is like, Alexa, I want to ask you something. Would you be my date? Because when he was telling her the story, he said, his date bailed out, and he has no one to take to a date, and he doesn't want to be alone and all that stuff. So Alexa's like, sure, I'll be your date for the weekend. No problem. How convenient, right? How convenient. They make plans, basically, for the wedding. And Alexa goes and talks to her sister, whose name is Olivia, and Olivia is my sister's name, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, so they talk, they celebrate. I think she made partner. Olivia, the sister, made partner. I think that's what they were celebrating. All right, so the next day, it's time for the wedding. So not the wedding, the rehearsal. So she goes and she has her friend Maddie. They go and pick a dress for the rehearsal. Hoop-de-doo. They go to the rehearsal. Drew is like, ooh. He's seeing Alexa and he's like, oh, they're laughing. What I enjoyed about this story from Jasmine Guillory, and that's my second book by her, is that they had this naturally relationship. They laughed a lot. He made her laugh a lot. She made him laugh. The relationship seemed to be very not forced, and that's what I appreciated about this developing thing between Drew and Alexa. The rehearsal goes fine. Everybody's kind of surprised to see Drew with this girl. They want to know who's this girl. She's obviously very good. She actually works for the mayor. She's assistant to the mayor. Just wanted to put it out there. I like the fact that her black character wasn't a struggling black character, which I can appreciate sometimes in books, so I love that. Long story short, the wedding come. She is his date at the wedding. Again, everything goes well, and after that weekend, they have not one night stand, but they do go back to the hotel and they have some, like they sleep with each other, and they enjoy each other, which is great, right? So the story should have ended there because it was just for the wedding. Nope. Drew and Alexa decide that they're gonna see each other again. And one thing about them is that they live in different cities. So what happens is that every weekend now, Drew flies over and spends the weekend with Alexa, and Alexa the next weekend spends the weekend with Drew. And now she's developing all these feelings and he's developing all these feelings, but the thing with Drew is that he doesn't last in his relationship. He usually, like, after a month or two, he's like, bye, I don't need you. And at some point in the story, she's falling hard for Drew and she wants to let him know. So I think it was the weekend of the 4th of July. She goes and flies there. They have a birthday party, and there she meets his exes. Not one, not two, but three. And all of them have the same story. So obviously, she freaks out. She's like, okay, I guess I'm going to be next. I know he's about to end it with me. So she makes a whole scene. Not a whole scene in front of people, but like she sort of tells him off before he tells her off, before he breaks up things with her. So that's essentially the fake dating trope that's going on between Drew and Alexa. Now, I know what happens in the end, but will our main characters find the love that they were not looking for and go for it? Or will they just separate? Because after all, it was only fake dating and it was only for a weekend, right? But I enjoyed the story. I love the development of the story. I love the cute little plot. I love the extra stories outside of the main story. And I thought it was a cute, fluffy story. After reading Long Shot, reading this was it was a palate cleansing. As I said, it was soft. It was cute. So I will rate my books in the end. And lastly, the book that I read was 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. How to find it, keep it, and let it go. All right, you guys, what can I say about this book? So this book is a non-fiction, and this is Jay Shetty. I don't know how many of you know him, but he wrote the book, it's a monk, where he goes and decides to leave everything and just goes and become a monk, I think, for 3 years. If you haven't read that book, you guys need to pick that book. That's how I discovered him. And I know he's full of wisdom. And I've even listened to his podcast. Very eloquent man. To talk a little bit about this book, I'm just going to refer to my notes. The first rule of love is let yourself be alone. And he says this: take time to understand ourselves, our pleasures, and our values. We need to do things on our own. Like, for example, go to the movies by yourself, go to the restaurant by yourself, go take a hike, go to the museum, all of those things, but do it by yourself. And in doing so, it's not that you're not communicating with other people, but just take the initiative to do those things on your own. So he says, solitude is the foundation on which we build our love. We need to get in the habit of assessing ourselves and making efforts to improve our own lives. In this society where anything goes, I found that the way he explained spending time alone was very healthy, because with social media, with the way we're always surrounded by people and all that stuff, it was a breath of fresh air to just hear that it's different from being lonely when you spend that time alone, right? And then he spoke about the 3 C's of transformation, which is coaching, consistency, and community. So again, he breaks those down to explain what coaching is, what consistency is, and what community is. And all of that will form the basis of transforming you as a person, your value, your expectation, and all that good stuff. So I really like that part. And he said, things we learn when we spend time alone is self-control and patience. Now, ask me, with 4 kids, I don't know, but it's something that I was happy to read about, simply because it's like a reminder, because sometimes we fall into these relationships and we forget to do this work on ourselves, and we just go with the flow of life, and we can sometimes lose ourselves. Rule number 2, he said, don't ignore your karma. Whether you want it or not, it will come for you. So he says, karma is a mirror showing us where our choices have led us. When we learn from the past, we heal it. And I found that very important, because some of us can get into new relationships right away without having done the work prior to entering those new relationships. So we bring all the damages and all that trauma and all that baggage from our old relationships into the new relationships, and that can be detrimental to having a strong foundation in the new relationship, right? And then he says, second, this process helps us stop the same mistakes. We do need to heal so that we stop making the same mistakes in the new relationship. Also, he mentioned parental gifts and gaps. So when he talked about parental gifts and gaps, he talked about the way we were raised, how we saw our parents deal with conflicts in their relationships, how we saw our parents deal with us as kids, and all of that stuff builds us into, those human beings that go into those relationships. And some of us have grew up with seeing with, our parents loving each other and talking to them and resolving conflict in a healthy way. And some of us grew up with, seeing our parents not resolving issues in a healthy way, and that also can affect us going into relationships. He also talked about cinematic magic. When we're growing up, we saw, Beauty and the Beast, the Sleeping Beauty, and all those love movies, and it shaped our ways and our expectations of relationships and love. And that's not, it's not always horrible, but it's not always realistic, so he talks about that as well. He also talked about the type of people we fall in love. So some people love to chase, they love the chase. Some people love the rebel. Some people love, he said, the F-boy, just booty call, none of that stuff. All those kind of relationships also come into play in our relationships. Rule number 3, define love before you think it, feel it, or say it. So he says, as soon as we say those words, I love you, we're going to live up to those words, not by our definitions, but by the definition of the person we love. I never thought of that. I thought of love according to me, like the way I want to love and the way I should love you, but I thought that was very interesting. So he says we should love the person according to the way they want to be loved. I never thought of that. And he says there are 4 phases of love. There's attraction, dreams, struggle, and growth and trust. Now he breaks all of those down to give you examples and what each aspect of those stages entails. Very beautifully done. So he does say potential partners will come with the past, challenges, and possibly trauma. That's true. And then he says how you handle differences is more important than finding similarities. Let me read you page 91. So, the time and space we spend apart enhances the time we spend together. We want to find a balance among time together, time alone, time with our friends, and time with collective friends. In a week, you might decide to spend 1 night alone, 3 nights together, 2 nights with friends that you both know, and 1 night with your own friends. Very important, but how many of us do that? He says we are meant to fall and stay in love. Don't expect every day to be Valentine's Day. Disagreements will arise and it may challenge your bond. I mean, we know that. And the way he just explains it is you need to learn each other's fighting style. You need to learn to communicate. You need to learn to talk about these things. You need to learn to spend time apart. You know, all of that stuff. Like the way he breaks it down, you guys, I've read enough self-help books about relationships, about love, about sex, about all of that stuff. But the way he approached it, I loved it. And he does have a lot of teachings from Buddhism that he brings into this, which I found very interesting. I really encourage you guys to read it. So rule number 4, your partner is your guru. I like that. Your partner is like a mirror held in front of you. A guru offers guidance without judgment, wisdom without ego, love without expectation. Now, did I learn something from this? Wow. I really enjoyed the way it's written, because it's something that you can read on your own, but you can also read with your partner and do with your partner. And also through each rule, he has exercises, love letters, examples. Very, very nice. It requires patience, understanding, curiosity, and self-control. Get that? Self-control comes back again. Patience comes back again. And let me just read you page 108. A guru doesn't hesitate to play any position if it helps their student. There is no ego involved. The guru is honored and grateful to support another. A real guru doesn't want power but empowers their partner. Now that's nice. When your partner sees you aren't trying to control or assert authority over them, you bolster their trust and confidence. Right? Very nice. Rule number 5, purpose comes first. For any of us to bring the best version of ourselves to our relationships, we have to pursue our own purpose or spiritual calling. The 4 pursuits, which are Dharma, Artha, Karma, and Moksha. What it says is that, we have our own vision. Like, for example, you guys, I'm just going to give you an example pertaining to rule number 5. Like, my calling is to do this whole Booktube thing channel, like this is me. Like, I love doing it. I want to do it. But I find that I don't like the editing part. Like, it bothers me. So I get the help from my husband, and he's there to help me, edit those videos and basically support me in my calling. But I have to remember that it's my calling, not his. He's there to lend a hand, but I have to make sure that I'm also independent enough to pursue that calling should his help not be there. Rule number 6, win or lose together. Every couple should fight. He says, dealing with agreements as they arise before they escalate. Avoid fighting with our partner out of ego, but because we want to protect and build a beautiful future. Physical abuse, threats, force, control, or manipulation kill the love in the relationship. That's a no. That's a no. Get to the core or root of the argument. But in a relationship, being right won't solve the issue. Your ego might feel good for a while, but it won't stop the problem from coming up again, and your relationship won't benefit from the resolution. Ego makes you lose even if you win. Our anger is often misplaced. That's true. Sometimes you can get into a fight with your partner and you guys are fighting, but you guys are not fighting about the thing right there and then. It's something or an accumulation of things. So knowing how to, get to the bottom or the root of the problem is key. Take responsibility for our part in the issue, acknowledge our mistakes, and apologize. Taking accountability for our part in a conflict is always the grown-up thing to do. All right, rule number 7. You don't break in a breakup. And he says, abuse is a deal breaker. Infidelity is a challenge, but not necessarily a deal breaker. Because we've heard of people, who had infidelity, but were able to work things. He talks about the different ways of dealing with breakups in that part. And rule number 8, love again and again. Having a partner isn't the end goal. That's what he says. Let me read page 248. To experience love constantly by choosing to give it to others always. To find love in moments of frustration, annoyance, anger, and dismay when it seems out of reach, to create more loving connections with every person we meet, to feel love for all humanity. Love means noticing that everyone is worthy of love and treating them with the respect and dignity their humanity automatically makes them deserve. Like, right? What a way to finish this book. So, guys, there you have it, okay? Those are the books that I read, but that's essentially 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. That was a non-fiction book that was also, there for the month of November. Although I picked it from my jar, but it was also appropriate because it's also November where you read a non-fiction book. But let me rate these books for you guys. The Golden Couple, 2.5 out of 5. And then Kennedy Ryan, 4.75 out of 5. The next one was The Wedding Date, 3.5 out of 5. And 8 Rules of Love, 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and your notification bell so that when I post the next video, you are notified.